Take. So inshallah we'll begin. Jazakallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Kareem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So inshallah now we begin. The 4 preconditions, what were they? Someone tell me 4 preconditions to the spiritual openings. What were they? It was mentioned right at the beginning before we did the journey of man. Journey of mankind. Your journey. Brother... Go on.
Sorry, I missed the presentation. Are we talking about the...
Yeah, what I mentioned before, the same question.
Yeah, sorry, like I said, apologies, I missed the actual presentation, but I'm thinking, is the journey of Mandi, what we're talking about, the fiqh, aqidah?
No, not those ones.
Oh, sorry.
Well, good try. The 4 conditions to spiritual openings. We mentioned it yesterday. I recap Brother Mustafa at the back. We mentioned it at the beginning before. Do you see how important recapping and repeating is? Did you have your hand up? Yeah, Brother Gulfar. Yes, yes.
Those were the purification of the body, purification of the mind, purification of the purification of the heart, and purification of the soul, the nafs.
Excellent, mashallah. So that's correct. Those are the 4 preconditions which we're going to go through now. Then I mentioned that that has a precondition as well, which was this journey of mankind, your story. If you don't know your story, how can do the conditions make sense? If we were to die, nothing happens, what's the point of purifying the body, mind, heart and soul? It all relates to the hereafter as well as this world, which is why we needed to know them. So the journey of mankind is a precondition. But your plane, which you see in this diagram, this is you. Like you traveled there with your thoughts. This plane is the plane that you will use to travel to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the plane also has 4 conditions, 4 preconditions. Without these, you cannot purify your body, you cannot fix and purify your mind, or your heart, or your spirit. These 4 must come first. And the first one is the wheel of Tawbah. That you have to have the correct, let me make sure, yes, they're all here. So let me look at the wings and the 2 wheels. They're all there on the slide for you. There are 2 wheels and there are 2 wings. First one I want to mention is the wing of Aqidah, which is the beliefs. You have to have the correct beliefs in order to travel this journey. And that belief can be rectified in 1 hour. 1 hour, less than that. 2 pages of A4 that you can read and you understand it. Your Aqidah, your belief system is rectified. Half an hour. Look at the next wing. The knowledge of the do's and don'ts. Do you think you need to become a scholar? Yes? No. You don't need to become a scholar to know the do's and don'ts. You only need to know how to do the basic daily things that we do every day. Wudu, salah, fasting, and a few of the things that you need to know how to do. Istinja and so on. The breakers, the faraid, the wajib, those things. How long do you think it will take to learn that? A week? A day? How long do you think of that? 15 minutes, probably a little bit too fast. Maybe even 1 hour, 2 hours. So in 1 hour, 2 hours, that means that those first 2 wings, you can have them, you can have your wings for this plane today. You can sit with the brothers, inshallah, during this retreat in some spare time and learn these wings and have them, grow them. And then the 2 wheels. One of the wheels we've already done, you were given it yesterday, the wheel of Tawbah. To repent from all the sins of the body, the mind, the heart, the soul, to repent from them. So put your hand up if you've done the 2 rakat Tawbah yesterday. I see. MashaAllah, very good. Majority of you have done that, so you are following the instructions of doing as you're asked, which is wonderful. So the wheel of Tawbah, repent from them. But Tawbah has much more to it than just 2 rakats. There isn't time to go through that. As Hazrat Sahib mentioned, these presentations, some of them 10 days itikaf, 2-3 hours a day, and it's not finished. And I'm trying to go through this in 1 hour. So next one, the wheel of mujahada, striving. What does that basically mean? You have to take the first step. If you don't try, no one is going to try for you. Can I eat for you? Did anyone eat for anyone else upstairs? Did anyone go to the bathroom for anyone else? Or did you wait the queue yourself? If you're ill, does someone else take your medicine for you, or do you take it? There are some things only you can do, no one else can. So fulfilling your preconditions for the spiritual opening is something only you can do. Even the sheikh cannot do that. The sheikh cannot take the doctor cannot take the medicine, the patient has to. They can only guide you. So tell me, can you have all of them for today? Hands up. Can I see who believes that you can have these for today? Some of you don't. So majority of you do. If you don't think you can have them today, then maybe we need to go through them again, but you can definitely have them all today. Your aqidah, your belief, your fiqh do's and don'ts, you can learn them today. The tawbah, you can do 2 rakat. And the mujahada, you can make the effort. You're already, everyone here in this room has already done mujahada. Why? Where could you have been on a Saturday morning? You could have been in America, Canada, where you've come from, London, Birmingham. You've all come from different places. You've made sacrifice. You're doing mujahada. So you've already fulfilled this condition. So here we begin the 4 conditions, preconditions to the spiritual openings. The first one is your 7 organs that we mentioned yesterday. These 7 organs, what will happen to the plane if one of those doors of these organs were to open? One. What happens? Have you ever tried it? The whole plane will destruct. It will lose pressure and it will begin to crash. If one door opens, not even a door, if a small hole. That's why you cannot open the windows in the plane. One opens, whole plane will begin to crash. It will lose control. This is done like this. When a baby is born, they are born pure, sinless. They are not born with sin. They are born pure. And when a non-Muslim becomes a Muslim, all their darkness is removed. Instantly they become sinless in that one moment. The only things that are not forgiven are the rights of people, that one always has to fulfill the rights of people, seek forgiveness from them, but otherwise everything else. Now in the hadith, the Holy Prophet ﷺ mentioned that when a believer commits a sin, a black spot falls on their heart. Black spot. Is that this physical heart? No. Okay, otherwise doctors could remove it. It's the spiritual heart. Your spiritual heart is darkened. Now what to say about when all 7 organs are opened and there is darkness coming through all 7 of them? Can you imagine if you're wearing a black chadar, you drop a little bit of salan on it, no one can see it, it's okay. But if you're wearing white, if your heart is pure, one spot falls on there, it becomes visible and you want to get changed. So the danger of this person, this is a Muslim, and this one, there's one where it's even darker than that, and it's a non-Muslim. When the non-Muslim, what's the difference? They don't have Iman, so it's completely darkened. But this Muslim's one is darkened because of excessive sins. So this is the example where the Holy Prophet also mentioned that for a hypocrite, when they sin, a fly, it's like a fly that sits on their nose and they just wipe it away or just push it away. The small sin doesn't mean anything to them. They're not bothered by it. But for the believer, a small sin is like a mountain upon their shoulders. That small sin is like, Ya Allah, please forgive me. What have I done? I've done this. I have to make up for it. They're worried about their mistake. Whereas it's mentioned the hypocrite, oh, it's okay, it doesn't matter, it's just a fly. So ask yourself how you treat yourself with regards to the mistakes that we make. Because one of them is a sign of a believer, one of them is the sign of the hypocrite. When this is the solution, most important part, because it's not good for the doctor to tell you have cancer, but then not to tell you the cure for cancer. Would that be right? Would that be fair? You have cancer, but don't worry, you can go home. No cure. No, you need the solution. So the solution is to stop one of these pipes from entering the heart one at a time. Like the plane, close one door at a time. You can never be in 7 places at once. So similarly, if this room, all the windows and doors were opened and there was filth, imagine filth coming through that door, that window, that door, that window, all of them. Can you close all of them at the same time? No, only one at a time. Gradual progression. And this is one of the ways that you will begin, inshallah. You will be given this today, and you will begin this during this retreat and after the retreat. So, the disobediences towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the spiritual blockages are mentioned here: backbiting, slandering, lying, ridiculing, and there are many more. The first thing is you need to know them so you can stop them. Then on the sheet of 30 days, you will practice for 30 days in a row. But the first attempt that you do it, you might reach 9 days. And then here it mentions that you've done the 4th sin. That I've done the 4th one. That is ridiculing. So you place a cross, you start again. The second attempt, you reach 17 days. And this time, the person is backbited, they put a 1 there, they start again. What is this doing? What did we do yesterday? The assessment, the review. You reviewed yourself. That was one review, 1 hour, maybe you do once a month. This is a review you do every day. And Imam Hasibi, rahimahullah, one of the great scholars from 1st century, he says that you must hold yourself to account before you are taken to account. When are you taken to account? The Day of Judgment. When do you take yourself to account? Now. And if you're not taking yourself to account, then I ask you this question. The person who forgets that he's in a test, what to say about his results? If you're not doing this, ask yourself, are you doing this? If you're not doing something like this, then I can tell you, you think that you're not in a test. And if you think you're not in a test, don't expect a pass. You shouldn't expect a pass. Think of the student that is in an exam and he forgets he's in an exam. Are they likely to pass? They're messing about, they're on their phone, they're looking here, there. No, they're likely to fail. So don't take it lightly. Take it seriously. If a person's not doing something like this, whether it's the 30-day sheets, whether it's you keep the record on your phone, whether you use the Prophetic Path app, whichever you do, you must be holding yourself to account. Even if you finished all the sheets, doesn't matter. You still should be holding yourself to account some way or another. Until all 30 days are done, then you move to the next one. So your heart will become like this. One organ is done, now you focus on the next. The second one, you focus on, and you maintain the first one. You maintain that first one, and you do the second with it until you do the third, then the 4th, the 5th, 6th, and 7th. You're given all of them one by one. And you have a teacher, a mentor to help you every step of the way. You're not alone. This journey is not one person's journey. Someone is holding your hand the whole way. So you can't go wrong. That is the first precondition of the spiritual opening. Those 7 organs. If they're not present, complete, then it will definitely stop you at some point. You may be able to have a spiritual opening, but it won't be clear as you'd like it to be. Then at least that tells you need to do tawbah, you need to fix yourself, and so on. The second precondition, I'm only going to mention it briefly, but if you look at your 6 questions that were there yesterday for the mind, that gives you a little bit of a hint into some of the levels. When I asked who reflects here, very few people put their hand up. Where reflecting is part of the purification of the mind. So this is the route that leads to sin. Shaitan, the nafs, someone was mentioning something about thoughts yesterday. I was mentioning to them this is a shaitanic thought. So shaitan puts the thought into their mind, then they start to what? Two people asked this question yesterday. Thought came to your mind, Brother Aziz, you were one of them, there was somebody else. The thought, am I liable for that thought? What did I say regarding that thought? Can anyone remember? A thought that's come into your mind, are you liable for it? No, you're not liable for it. What are you liable for? Entertaining it. What else could you do? You're acting upon it. And should you fight it? 3 things not to do. You shouldn't entertain it. What else should you not do? You shouldn't fight it. And what's the 3rd one? That's entertaining. Keep thinking about it is entertaining. It's even worse. The 3rd one, many people forget. Acting upon it comes after. That's like the action. But you shouldn't, enjoying it is the same as entertaining it. So you shouldn't entertain it. You shouldn't fight it. Because fighting the evil thought is like the dog is barking at you and you're barking at the dog. Is the dog going to stop? No, it carries on. What's the 3rd one? The thing that you shouldn't do.
You shouldn't bring it.
Excellent. You shouldn't bring it. You shouldn't bring it. Now the person who brings the evil thought, imagine Shaitan is stood here next to me and he's trying to whisper into my mind, oh, Usman do this, Usman do that. And I'm saying, oh, don't worry about Shaitan, I'm thinking it already. You know? I'm bringing the thought already, it's alright, you could go away. So Shaitan's going to think, oh, he's okay. I can leave him, he's okay on his own. So Shaitan doesn't even need to whisper into your mind if you're bringing it. So first, to know those 3 things not to do. Then you need to know what to do. But look at what happens when the person does those 3 things. They bring it, or they fight it, or they entertain it. The thought gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes so powerful that you feel like, I have no option but to execute this now. This evil thought, to look at this thing, to do this, say this word, to steal this item, whatever it might be, your mind is engulfed in the darkness. You feel like you have to do it. That all started because of entertaining it. So what is the right way? What's the correct way? If I give you an example, this cloth, if this is on fire, should I carry on speaking to you all? No. What should I do? Extinguish it. But if I don't extinguish it and I carry on talking to you, what's going to be on fire next? The table, then the chair, the carpet, the curtains. At that point, if I stop the speech and I try to stop the fire, it's going to be very difficult. So what does that mean? That means you stop it at the smallest point. A little bit of fire, step on it, get rid of it. Don't wait. Don't let it grow. So the solution is that as soon as the evil thought enters, you do 2 things. You seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that, oh Allah, I turn to you, I need your help. You know how to do that. Muraqabah dua, you could go through all 7 of them points in a minute and turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then what is the other thing that you must do? Someone mentioned it before. Yes, you must divert your attention away. Divert your attention away to something better. You're here. So the best place is where? Is it dunya? Is it work? It could be anywhere. Where's the best place? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the spiritual world, to Jannah, to Jahannam, the things which you saw before. You could divert your mind and attention to there, and that will help you forget this evil thought. So this is the things which I mentioned here. So inshallah, I'll go through them. Look at what happens to you eventually. You will form a spiritual shield around your mind. What that means is that you become so trained, it becomes easy for you. Like I said yesterday, what was the example of traffic? When I said yesterday's, let's see who remembers. The example of traffic. Cars going here and there. What was that example referring to? Who can remember? The cars are going this way. Go on with the Shafiq.
How to react to thoughts like you let the traffic pass, so ignore them.
Yeah, mashallah, exactly. Thank you. It's regarding the thoughts. That when you're driving, many of you drive, put your hand up if you drive. Let me see the drivers. Okay, majority, mashallah. So you're driving. Do you think about all these other cars and what they're doing? Or do you travel your journey, be aware of the cars around you, but you travel your journey, stop at the traffic lights, red traffic, then go, and you follow the rules, and you get to your destination. But you don't need to know where all these other cars are going. They're turning left, they're turning right behind you. You don't need to know where they're going. You don't pay attention to them. You pay attention to your journey and just the ones surrounding you for a safe journey. So similarly, these thoughts will come, but you don't pay attention to them. You pay attention to your journey, where you're going, and these thoughts don't affect you. So eventually, this is the state of your mind, that you are constantly remaining in the remembrance. What was the higher level of remembrance? It was mentioned yesterday. After remembrance, higher level, starts with a P. Presence. There is one level in between, but that is for you. I'll tell you now, just so that you have the wish that I want to have this. I want to know what they are. I want to have that. So what is the level in between the remembrance and presence? The level in the middle. It's not reflection, it's a good try. Starts with an A. I'll give you an example. So I am in the forest and I'm remembering Allah, I'm thinking Allah is with me. But the second one is the example of the person in the forest. Someone is watching them, they feel like someone is watching them, but they can't see them. And the presence, example of the presence, is that the person is next to you. You feel their presence because you feel them next to you, around you. So the presence is the highest level. You feel that you feel it. You feel the witness. The lowest level is just the thought remembrance, like we did before. But that middle level, you can feel someone watching you, but you don't feel them next to you. Yes? Awareness. Everybody asked you were going to say awareness? Yes. Awareness. So now you know that there are even 3 levels of remembrance. Then there's awareness. Then there's presence. And these are even preconditions for the spiritual openings of the higher levels as well. So that's the second stage, purification of the mind. The third stage is what? What is the third stage? This is the purification. This one should say here, purification of the heart, because the soul we're going to talk about next. So this is the purification of the heart. What are they? What is purification? Someone tell me yesterday. See, purification of the heart. What did I mention yesterday about what was the opposite of humbleness? What's the opposite? Arrogance. Good. What's the opposite of patience? Easy one. Impatient. What's the opposite of gratefulness? Ungratefulness. Okay, a bit of a harder one. What's the opposite of jealousy? It's not love. Love and hate are opposites. Contentment is a good one, but it's not contentment, but it's a good try. Jealousy, what's the definition of jealousy then? Jealousy is where I want what you have, but number 2, I want you not to have it. So for example, Professor, I like your chadar. I want that. That's nice. Don't give it to me. You don't have to give it to me. But jealousy would be that I want that. I want you not to have it. That's jealousy. I want what they have, and at the same time I want them not to have it.
So the opposite would be wanting for others what you want for yourself.
MashaAllah, that's right. And in English there isn't really a proper word name for that, but in the hadith it's mentioned to love for your brother and sister what you love for yourself. You could say becoming selfless. So that's the opposite. So these 2 opposite traits, they battle. The more of one that you have, the less of the other you have. And that's the third stage, the purification of heart, where you battle these inside you and you allow the good ones to live in you and you remove and pull out those evil ones. And there are ways to do this. They are easy, they are not difficult. They are muraqabahs, meditations, thoughts you think throughout the day and they enter you. It's not theoretical, it's practical, but it doesn't take up any time. For anyone thinking, oh, this takes up time to get rid of these, no. It doesn't take up any time. It rather gives you time. The whole purification gives you more time. For example, stop backbiting. Then that means that this conversation I cannot have, so I suddenly have 10 more minutes of my life. I cannot watch this evil program, Suddenly a whole extra hour of my life I have. I shouldn't have jealousy, so I'm not going to scratch this person's car and then go into some big lawsuit about it. So these evil traits, they take up time, and the good traits give you time. So this is example of the person's heart, their spiritual state. The purity is growing. Can you see that the whiteness is growing? The traits are being established. The houses of shukr and gratefulness and love and sincerity are established, and the opposite evil ones are pushed out. You can't have both of them in you at the same time. It's possible, but towards different matters. For example, there's humbleness towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there's humbleness towards creation. In humbleness towards creation, there's humbleness with the teacher, there's humbleness with the wife and husband, there's humbleness with the children, there's humbleness with the earth. So there's many different types of humbleness. And to have humbleness, you have to have all of them. What did Shaitan not have? He had humbleness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which one did he not have? Humbleness towards the creation, towards Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, towards his teacher. That was meant to be his teacher. He didn't have humbleness towards his teacher, and then he was destroyed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala classes him as having arrogance. So you cannot have one level of humbleness, you have to really have them all. So until there's only one trait left, and at that point you become like this, illuminated. You're beginning to illuminate. Other people feel your positive energy and the goodness in you, and they become affected by it in a good way. You become good company for yourself and for others. And then finally, the fourth stage, or the purification of the soul, sometimes it's called enlightenment, but we call it purification of the soul, is the path of Sunnah. Now, in the fourth stage, purification of the soul, there's two things I'm going to mention. Just two things, because that's all you need to know regarding them now. Because that stage is a stage to experience. It's a stage to taste. It's not a stage to hear about too much. So what are they? Two main things. Number one, that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said, you cannot be a perfect believer until you love me more than your parents, your children, your wealth, and all mankind. At that stage, the purification of the soul, you don't hear about this type of person with this type of love. You become this type of person with this type of love. You become the one who loves. That's why I asked you the question yesterday. Ask yourself, who do you love more? You have to ask yourself the question. Your heart will tell you the answer. And then when you know that, okay, I don't think I love the Prophet more, then you know that in that stage, there is something there for you, waiting for you. So you become this person. Can you imagine speaking to someone who loves the Holy Prophet more than he loves himself? Can you imagine the state of heart? Can you imagine the gathering when they sit with the Holy Prophet in the spiritual opening world? And how they are with them, how they feel with them? That's a different matter. So that's one of the preconditions for the bigger spiritual openings, to have that type of love. Why? Let me tell you something. In the spiritual world, the way we are wearing clothes here, in the spiritual world, the third stage qualities that you saw, love, sincerity, humbleness, arrogance, pride, they are your clothes. They are your clothes there. So you might think, oh, I smell very nice, I'm clean, and so on. But in that world, it might be a very different vision of yourself. So the mirror, that's where you have to look in the mirror. It's mentioned a believer is a mirror to another believer, not of these clothes and of this face, but of that face. And that is what it's referring to, your inner mirror. I said I will mention two of them. I've already mentioned one of them before. So the second thing about the fourth stage, the purification of soul, is this, that it's mentioned ihsan. What is ihsan? Who can tell me? What is ihsan? Who can tell us? Yes, brother. Excellence. So that's in one word, like a translation, but a definition from a hadith from the Holy Prophet himself. Yes, Brother Mustafa. But that's good. Yeah, if you just wait for that. So what is ihsan based on what the Holy Prophet has told us?
That you worship Allah as if you see Him.
And if you cannot do that?
And if you don't see Him, He sees you.
Exactly, mashallah. That's exactly right. That ihsan is to worship Allah. It's a state of heart. It's not just, what is worship in Islam 5 prayers only? No. What is worship in Islam? It's a 24-hour activity. You're sitting now, this is worship with the right intention. I'm speaking, it's worship with the right intention. Toilet is worship with the right intention. Sleep, worship with the right intention. But it's not just intention enough. There's other things that need to be there, and one of them is this, the presence of Allah. That ihsan is to worship Allah as though you see Him. That's a high level presence. What did I say about the presence? Remembrance was just thoughts. Awareness, you feel like you're watched. And what was presence? They are near you. You feel the witness. You never feel alone. The one with the presence forgets what loneliness feels like. They forget what boredom feels like. They can't remember because they're never alone. If you ask them, are you alone? Is there anyone else with you? They will say, amongst human beings, there's no one else with me. But because Allah SWT is not a human being. They can never say they are alone. So it's the state of mind. So ihsan is to worship Allah as though you see Him. If you cannot, then Allah SWT certainly sees you. And you feel that Allah is watching me. So it's the awareness level. I feel that Allah is watching me. I can feel it, but I don't feel that presence, that witness. Remember, we can never see Allah Azza wa Jalla in this world, even in the spiritual world. It's not possible. But in the hereafter, it is possible. But to feel as though that is possible. Now, the last thing to know is, what are your objectives? You know your preconditions. When you go to study a course, university, college, anywhere, even any course, the first day they ask you the questions. Do you have this prerequisite, this precondition? If you want to do college, you have to have GCSE. If you want to do university, you have to have A-levels. If you want to do postgraduate, you have to do graduate. Everything has its preconditions. On the first day, they ask you. So I've asked you at the beginning, these are the 4 preconditions. How long does it take to do them? 1 day. You can do them today. No, but at the same time, the day that you enroll, what did they tell you? This. What is it they tell you on the same day? Your objectives, that what you will get at the end of the 2-year course, you will get this qualification, and that's with that qualification what you can do. So the 4 objectives is the qualification. They are what you achieve at the end. And in this case, it's not a certificate. On the Day of Judgment, you can have the certificate. But here, it's not a certificate. Here, it is a station that you attain, a person that you become. It is a person that you become. So the first person that you become is this person. The one who always gives preference to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In everything that they do, they prefer Allah. But how? By preferring Allah's commands. This is the first person you become. So I give you an example. If it's the time of Fajr, you have the choice of the nafs saying, oh, let's sleep, let's carry on sleeping. Or you have Allah's command that wake up and pray. Which one does the person prefer? First question, which one do they do? If they have this objective, which one do they do? They pray Fajr. They wake up. But which one do they prefer? That's the person who doesn't have this objective. That might be me and you at this time, that we prefer sleeping. But this person doesn't prefer sleep. They don't prefer what the nafs wants. They actually prefer what Allah wants. So there's not a struggle there anymore. They don't only feel that, oh, I want to sleep. They don't feel like I want to sleep. They prefer what Allah wants. They want that even more than sleep. That's why it's mentioned that salah is better than sleep. It's mentioned salah is better than, for that person, for this person. Not maybe for some of us, but for this person. The next qualification that you attain is this, that you give preference to the Holy Prophet ﷺ more than anyone else. So now I give you the example of Sunnah. before sleeping it's very difficult to do wudu. Many people find it's difficult to do wudu. They think it's going to take away my sleep. So wudu before sleeping, sunnah. It's good to do 2 rakats, any salah as well, and so on. But you have the choice, oh, I don't want to do wudu, I'm tired. But then the Holy Prophet ﷺ is saying, this is my sunnah, follow my sunnah. Which one does this person do? They follow the sunnah. Which one do they prefer? They also prefer the sunnah. So you ask yourself, this is a sign for you. You can take this away as a sign that at the time of sleeping, do I prefer the wudu or do I prefer the sleep? If you prefer the sleep, you know that I don't have this objective yet. But if you prefer the wudu, and you do it, then you have a sign that you're reaching that objective. That you have to bring yourself to the state where not only do I do it, but I prefer it as well. I even prefer it. Can you imagine the communication, the relationship that this person would have with the Holy Prophet in the spiritual world? They have this purification of soul. Do you think there's any obstacles for them in that relationship, in that world? No. In that world, they live, they're happy, it's unexplainable, and alhamdulillah, that's a wonderful relationship. That type of person, they look forward to death, because death closes this eye, and it opens that eye more. This inner eye is already opened, but this eye is still a distraction. So death closes this eye, and the other eye fully focuses. And so they prefer. That's why it's mentioned that for them people, death is just a transfer. It's just a transfer. Third objective, they are very compassionate upon the creation. Very compassionate upon creation. And compassion, what does compassion mean? First thing it means is that the bare minimum, they fulfill what? What do they fulfill? The rights of the people. If they're not fulfilling the rights, they can never have that. But what does compassion mean? I'm fulfilling the rights, but what else do I give? Extra. You're compassionate if you fulfill their rights and you ignore your rights. You're not bothered. If they harm me, it's okay, I forgive them. So husband and wife relationship, imagine, one of them is being compassionate by fulfilling the rights and they waive their own rights. That's compassion. So that's creation, compassion on creation. Will that type of marriage survive? That you're compassionate, you fulfill their rights, you don't worry about your own. Do you not think the other person will then do the same for you? If you're fulfilling their rights and you don't mind your own, they will think, oh wow, my husband, my wife, they do so much for me. They always fulfill my rights. I want to do the same for them. That relationship survives because it's selfless. The selfish relationship, my rights, my rights, my rights, my rights, they don't survive. So that's compassion. Think of it this way. Compassion on creation is really compassion on yourself. Because if your marriage survives, you become happy. If you want to have a happy life, you have to have a happier home. So if not do it for them, at least do it for yourself. That's a lower level. But a higher level is do it for them and without anyone in return. Nothing in return. And then we mentioned the presence of Allah. To have that permanently, 24 hours a day, where you'd never feel that you're alone. You feel the presence of Allah. Allah is with me all the time. And the muraqabah dua, that will lead to this. It will take you there. It's the beginning of the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the state of ihsan. So now imagine this person's state and experience. They love the Holy Prophet ﷺ more than themselves. What a wonderful state of heart. But not only that, they're in the presence of Allah, with Allah, feeling the witness at all times. Is that not where you want to be? So this is a spiritual retreat that takes you beyond these 4 stages, beyond these objectives, to the next level. To the next level. If you want that next level of the spiritual openings correctly, properly, then these are the conditions beforehand. But you can start them here today, and inshallah we will start them today. We are going to, inshallah. So this diagram here, can you put your hand up if you've seen the mountain diagram before? Let me see who's seen this before. Okay, mashallah, majority of you have seen this before, so I'm going to ask you the questions now. The answers are on the board, but you see them, but I'm still going to ask you the questions. So, Brother Kamar, what is the four preconditions of the preconditions?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The four conditions is Aqidah, fiqh, Tawbah and striving.
Excellent, mashallah. And which mountain are they represented by on that diagram?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Oh, okay. Anyone else? Which mountain are they represented by? There's a mountain on the left, there's a mountain on the right, and then on the right of the diagram is, you could say, the pleasure of Allah, the forest and garden. So there's two mountains. Is it the mountain on the left or is it the mountain in the middle? Brother Mustafa? On the left. So it's the mountain on the left. So we need to climb that mountain. So if we need to climb that mountain, where are we now? That's the question, where are we? So Brother Ashraf, where are we now? If we want to climb that mountain.
So we're on the base right now?
The base, yes, you're at the base of the mountain, but there is something somewhere else that you might be before you've even reached the base of the mountain. What is at the bottom of this diagram? So
we might be drowning in the sea.
You could be drowning, yes, you could be drowning in that sea, that river. If you're drowning in that river, what does that tell us? Where are you? What is at the bottom of the river? Look at the words at the bottom. Brother Ibrahim. It can be sinful, it doesn't have to be sinful. This is a good person. So this person on this journey is a good person. So where is he or she?
Yes.
Yes. So do you see, look at the bottom of the diagram. What words do you see, Professor Saab? What words are there?
Heedlessness.
What else is there?
The state of sinfulness and heedlessness.
And above that?
Those are the first builders. First
Yes,
builders.
These are the first builders, but this is where they are. So they are in gatherings. Thank you, Jazakallah, thank you all. So these people, it could be me and you, because you're here now. These people are sitting in gatherings like this. Those gatherings, hell and paradise are mentioned. Gatherings of Allah's remembrance are mentioned, like the morning. Death and barzakh is mentioned. Day of Judgment is mentioned. All of this was mentioned today. What else is mentioned? The reality of dunya. We've not talked about that yet. The Holy Quran is mentioned. The Prophets ﷺ are mentioned. Companions, awliyaullah are mentioned. Company of spiritual master is mentioned. Does any of that sound familiar? It all sounds familiar. So where are you if you were on this diagram right now? There. So we are at the bottom of this diagram in search for truth. You're on your search for truth. If you want to climb that first mountain, what do you need to do? Uncle Iqbal? You need to begin this 4 conditions journey. So the only people that will be on this diagram are the ones, they fulfill their aqidah, they rectify it, they learn their fiqh knowledge, they begin to strive. You're already striving, all of you here. And you do your tawbah, many of you did that yesterday. So I would say many of you are climbing this diagram already. You've come to this gathering, you've heard the knowledge, you've begun to climb the mountain. The ones who finish that mountain are the ones who learn their aqidah and learn their fiqh. Because you've already done the mujahada to come here, you have to maintain it, and you've done the tawbah. So mashallah, those two, congratulations. But aqidah and fiqh, you're still in need of. If you don't have that, rectify that. Those of you then, where are you now? So let's say you've done aqidah, fiqh, tawbah, and repented. Where are you now? Brother Muhafir, where are you now? And what is that bridge? The purification bridge. Yes, and the purification bridge, what's the first part? Oh yes, I'll show with the mouse. So yes, brother? The 7 organs, the body. So you're inshallah going to start that today. For those who've started and not continued, then restart it. The 7 organs of the body you should never lose your focus from them. That your focus should always be upon them. Then you are on this bridge. Then what comes next, Brother Mustafa? Brother, what comes next after the body?
The mind,
Yes, the mind, and then
the heart,
and
the soul.
soul. Now that journey will take some time. When you have your spiritual openings, as Brother Ashfaq had before, when you have them, you do this at the same time. You can do this at the same time. You can purify the body, mind, heart, and the soul simultaneously with the other journey. What happens with that journey if you do this at the same time? It becomes more clearer and more clearer. You can have them both at the same time. But if you stop this one, the other one, what will happen? Rather than it stopping, you might fall into a shaitanic trap. You might become misguided, misled. So once you've reached the fourth stage and enlightenment of the soul, what are these for here? What have you attained? You finished your 2-year, 3-year qualification course. You've got your certificate. Although we don't give you any certificate, here you can have that the day of judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives certificates that day. For some, it's given in their right hand. Do you know how the people in the left hand are given? Do you know how they're given? Their left hand is put through their stomach and they're given it behind their backs. Their left hand through their stomach, stabbed through the stomach, and then they take it from behind. That's how much they don't want it. But they're given it from behind, but through the stomach like that. They still take it. So, but this certificate, if you reach this one, and you see the signs within yourself, then you can, inshallah, hope in the mercy of Allah for the certificate in the right hand. Then you have to wait. What does this mean? This spiritual bridge here, what does that mean? A spiritual bridge, can you cross a spiritual bridge? Physically, can you cross a spiritual bridge? No. You wait here. And what do you wait for? You wait for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to choose you. You wait for Allah's mercy, Allah's fazl, Allah's grace upon you. Allah chooses whoever He wills. We can all say, I am a friend of Allah, because all Muslims and believers are friends of Allah. Or we can all say, Allah is my friend. All of us can say, Allah is my friend. The day you can say that I am a friend of Allah is when Allah says, you are my friend. But will you ever know that in this world? You may not. In the hereafter, when Allah says to you that you are my friend, then you know that you're a friend of Allah. In this world, if Allah, even if it's ever mentioned that you're a friend of Allah, we don't know how our end will be. The end, Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu was given certificate of paradise by the Holy Prophet ﷺ. He was one of the Ashara Mubashara. One of the 10 that was said in one gathering, these are people of paradise. And yet he still feared his end. He still feared that I don't know how I'm going to die. So that should never go. In this world, we will never really know. It's in the hereafter. But you wait until Allah chooses you. Then you enter the world of the pleasure and closeness of Allah. And that really, you can say, is an example of the spiritual world, the closenesses that lie in there, and those openings. So this is, alhamdulillah, your journey and your 4 conditions: body, mind, heart and soul. And that's the overview of the journey. And after that, the spiritual openings are natural. They are just automatic. They are in your normal nature now. But if you neglect these 4 conditions, then the spiritual openings will cease. They will cease. So, inshallah, after this session, we will have a break, and then I believe the other ustads will give you an overview of that Miraj journey. And after that, you will begin it, inshallah. But there is one thing for me to give you now. There's one thing for me to give you, and that is for me to show you what you're going to be given today, inshallah. So have a look here. This card, inshallah, is going to be given to everybody as a gift, as a printout. Brother Nurab, if you can just rotate that for me, please. So this 5 things you're going to be given today. 5 things. And this begins your journey. 5, the first one is you will begin the tongue sheet. You will begin the tongue sheet. And the tongue sheet just means that you will monitor your tongue and the usage of your tongue. How do I use my tongue? The 30 days system that you saw the other day, that you will begin that. And you will, when do you think you're going to begin it? Today, not tomorrow. Like Ustad Sajid said the other day, there's something about living in the present, living in the now. You never start tomorrow, you always start today. You start today. So the tongue sheet from today onwards, you will monitor your tongue, what I say, am I backbiting, am I slandering, am I lying, and you will tick every day you don't, and cross every day that you cross if you have violated one of them. Jazakallah, thank you. So even the summary of the journey that you did the muraqabah on before with me, the thought, that is there for you as a gift. All of these blockages of the 7 organs are given there, and you will be able to see them all so that you don't need to remember them. And over here, you see there's 3 sheets that you can practice with this one card. I'm talking about the tongue one here. And your target is to reach 30 days in a row. 30 days. Start today. The second one that you're given, which I'm mentioning here, is sincerity. Which quality or which stage is sincerity on? Is it first, second, or third? It's not the first stage. It's actually the third. But as a gift to help you so that you're not taken away, because what happens to people who are not sincere? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala filters them away. They don't remain in these gatherings because they are wasting the time of the sincere. Insincere people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes them away so that the sincere people can remain. Because they waste time because they come for dunya. 99% of the world out there is dunya, is for the world, business and so on. 1% or less is for Allah. So don't come to the awliya Allah, the friends of Allah for dunya. If you do, Allah will take you away. You will go back in dunya. But if you come for Allah, you will remain, inshallah. So since this is why sincerity is given, so that you can be kept and stay and benefit. So what is this first level? This first level, if it's not written, it is written there, it's written here. In all the major good deeds, the 5 daily prayers, and your any zikr or muraqabah, which I'll mention, you're going to think, I am doing this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure and for Jannah and reward. So at this level, you can think I'm doing it for Jannah, for reward. Beginning, middle, end. So in the salah, you can think in the beginning, I'm doing this for Jannah and for Allah's pleasure. In the middle, you refresh it. In the end, you refresh it. Any zikr or muraqabah that you do, like the muraqabah dua, you refresh the thought in beginning, middle, end. And that's all that matters. Many people ask this question, oh, I think I have a different intention. All you have to do is refresh the intention, and then you have the correct one. And the spiritual prayer, what you will do, the muraqabah dua that we did today, the 7 points, who can tell me the 7 points? Can anyone tell me? Or just mention one of them. Brother Zafar.
Remember your 7 blessings.
If you wait for the mic.
Remember your 7 blessings.
Okay. Very good. Any others? Order doesn't matter now because I'll show you the order.
7 sins.
Okay, good. 7 blessings, 7 sins. What else? And shout them out.
7 problems.
7 problems. 7 needs. Excellent. The presence of Allah was the first one. So that you enter the presence of Allah. How do you enter the presence of Allah? Allah is with me, watching me, hearing me. The 3 keys we call them. So you enter this before the prayer. Allah is with me, watching me, hearing me. Allah is with me, watching me, hearing me. Then you enter the prayer and you enter you're already in the presence of Allah Azza wa Jalla now. Then you mention the sins. So in the prayer you can mention this dua. You can say this dua with the heart. Because you don't know what you're reciting many times, you're speaking with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the heart. So you can mention in the first rakat, it doesn't have to be 7, it can be less. 7 sins, 7 problems. In the second rakat, Brother Harun. No, you don't. You can do that beforehand. Any azkar with the tongue you do before the prayer. Once you enter the prayer, then it's all silent. You recite what you recite in the prayer, but not anything that's outside of the prayer, only inside the prayer. You're reciting with your heart. So you will do the 7 sins, 7 problems, 7 needs, 7... There's one more that's not been mentioned. Yes. Yes, guidance, the things that you need guidance for. And remember, if all 7 you can't mention, you can do 2 or 3 as well. And then at the end, what needs to be done? At the end of the prayer. Louder? Yes, the reliance that, oh Allah, all of this on my own, I can't do anything. I assign it to you, you are my helper, I put it in a basket, leave it to you, it's come and gone, it's in your hands, it's your decision, I turn to you. So this is how you will do the spiritual prayer, and you will try to do that for 30 days. And to help you, so there's 3 things, the 3 sheets, the tongue, the sincerity, and the spiritual prayer, the muraqabah, the and the prayer. Here you have the zikr of La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. Once Hazrat Musa alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, is there any zikr that I can do of you that no other creation does, and that you will like, that you will be pleased with? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that the favorite zikr and remembrance is the kalima, La ilaha illallah. There is no secret required, that something no one else does, that only we do. The wonderful things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves are in abundance. The Sunnah is in abundance. Allah loves that. It's not hidden. The Quran is in abundance everywhere in the world. You can find the Quran. It's in abundance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the Quran. So the zikr La ilaha illallah is one of the favorite zikrs, and it is a zikr that purifies. The Holy Prophet said to the next meaning that everything has a detergent to clean with. And the detergent of the heart is the zikr of Allah. And this zikr specifically purifies the heart. So it's mentioned what you will do, how you can imagine it there. You can read that and practice it in your own time. And you can do however long you want. You can do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you could do 20 minutes. There's no restriction. However long you want, you can do the zikr La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. But the most important thing is that you speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the heart. Because that is what was the essence of the worship. It was dua. And what was the essence of dua? What was it? Muraqabah. So you've got the essence of worship, dua, and dua is present here. Okay. So now we come to the muraqabah, and this is the muraqabah dua which you practice today. So you've practiced it, you've heard it, we've recapped it, now you're going to be given it as a gift. And when you leave from here, you'll be experts. You'll be teaching other people, inshallah. So the methodology is explained there. Again, you can do them however long you want. The longer you spend, the better. Enter that Allah is with me, watching me, hearing me. It says this here, the preparation. Then you recite the preparation, azkars, astaghfirullah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, and so on. Durud Sharif as part of the preparation as well. Then you mention your 7 great sins. Seek forgiveness from them. Mention your 7 blessings. Thank Allah for them. Mention your 7 needs. Beg Allah for help to resolve them. Mention your 7 difficulties and problems, and ask Allah that. So what's the difference between problems and needs? Who can tell me? What is the difference between a need and a problem? Because people get confused on this. Yes?
Needs is what you want, and problems is what you want to go away.
Exactly, that's a nice way to put it, mashallah. So need is something that you feel, I need that, I want that, you don't have it yet. A problem, do you have it? Yes, you do. The problem's already with you, the need's not with you. So I want, oh Allah, I want the need to come, I want the need to come, I want the problem to go. So that's the difference. So, and then you seek guidance, the things that you need the decisions for, that I have to make a decision on this, that, where I'm going to go, what job I'm going to do, who I'm going to marry, whatever it is, you need to seek guidance. And then you finish with tawakkul ala Allah, which is reliance upon Allah. That, oh Allah, I've sought your help now, even through salah, patience on salah. Now I assign it to you, and whatever you decide, I'm happy with. So this, mashallah, this is a gift to you on our first day, even before any Miraj session. We've really done, you've been given the 5 amals and 5 gifts. See them as gifts, like the Holy Prophet was given 5 prayers, the 5 daily prayers in the night of Miraj. This is your spiritual opening retreat. You've been given your 5 gifts as well. So inshallah, this will be printed and hopefully given to you tonight, and then you can begin immediately, and you can do these things daily. And then there are people here, make sure you keep contact, that they will continue to help you along this journey, and they will never let you go. As long as you come and seek help, they will always be there, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always keep people upon this earth. As long to help others, as long as there are Muslims on this earth, there will be a pious wali of Allah, friends of Allah, there to help them. You just have to search, and then nothing can stop you then. So on that note, inshallah, if there's any questions, then I'll take a few questions, and inshallah then we'll finish for a 20-minute break. So yes. So it was mentioned, the question was, how long should we do the La ilaha illallah zikr? And this is a gift to you. So a gift is something which you can use it as often as you want, as little as you want, but you should use it every day. So use it every day. The time is in your hands. Time is up to you. 5 minutes, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You have more time. Someone was telling me yesterday, their work is such a place that they have 8 hours at work, and they only have to do 1 hour's worth of work. The other 7 hours they can do whatever they want. Netflix and other things I mentioned. So they were mentioning. So this is an answer, that if you have so much free time, spend more time in the remembrance of Allah. Why spend time in the remembrance of the things that take you away from Allah? Spend time with Allah Azza wa Jalla. You're getting paid for the time, and your employer doesn't mind you doing that, then do more. Yes. So, yes.
Assalamu alaikum. You yourself mentioned good traits and bad traits, that they don't generally live together in the heart. But generally people, sinners like myself, have them traits because they pop up and something happens. So it's never the case that you've got rid of the bad traits, but you're more aware of the negative of them. But I just wanted to ask that, is that something which is really bad in my personal heart, or is this a normal thing to happen, that I haven't got rid of the bad traits, but I'm more aware of them, but the good traits are dominant?
MashaAllah. That's a very good question, helpful comments. The answer is that they battle with one another inside you. And whilst they're battling inside you, one day, you see, to win a war, you don't have to win all the battles. You see? To win a war, many times in the Battle of Uhud, it's mentioned that people saw that as a loss at the time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referred to it as a victory. Because from it, many other benefits came, certain things came about from it. People were allowed to do Hajj and other things freely and so on. There's other matters, but some battles were lost, but they were actually victories in the long term. So this some battles you will lose, the other evil trait will dominate. But let's say 9 out of 10, if your good trait is dominating, then you're winning the war. So it doesn't mean that you never lose. Sometimes you lose to them, but majority of the time, if you're winning, then you're on the path of success. And those small hiccups, small mistakes, they will be overlooked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it relates to a creation, yes, you must seek forgiveness from them, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will overlook it as long as you're on the journey of rectifying it and doing more good than bad with the trade. So let me give you an example. Let's say there's jealousy in there, and then the other one is loving for your brother what you love for yourself. So you feel a little bit of jealousy in you. You can feel that I want that, I don't want them to have it. But you're outwardly giving the person a gift, smiling at them, saying good things to them. You feel the evil feeling inside that I want that, I don't want him to have it. But you're trying to fight it by giving goodness to the person, helping them, being kind to them. This shows you're battling inside, but you're doing the good thing to overcome it. So there the person is fine. Yes, they have jealousy in them, but they're not going to be questioned for it because they're not manifesting it. You're not manifesting it. The moment you can manifest it with the body or the mind or the heart. But as soon as you manifest it, that's when you will be questioned for it. And manifesting it with the body might be scratching his car. Manifesting it with the mind might be entertaining the thought that, oh yes, he doesn't deserve it, I deserve it, why has he got it? You're entertaining the thought. Manifesting it with the heart means allowing the feeling to stay and live inside you. So fight them on those three levels, and the disease will stop, it'll get weaker and weaker and weaker until it completely dissolves and disappears. But when they're both in you, they're battling, and you're the one that decides who you give the power and the energy to. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yes, exactly.
Brother Mustafa and brother here first, please, and then Brother Mustafa. The brother on the chair.
Which chair?
I've got a few questions. Sorry. Firstly, the dhikr that you mentioned. I'm just clarifying that dhikr is obviously the zikr with your heart, tongue of the heart, not with your actual tongue.
Very good question. So La ilaha illallah zikr, you can do this one with the tongue. So this one you can do out loud because there's different benefits to silent zikr and there's different benefits to physical zikr. One of the benefits of physical zikr, La ilaha illallah, out loud is that it affects your physical body. Because it's loud and the whole body hears it, so all the cells of your body begin doing the zikr of Allah as well. So that has the effect on them that they start to remember Allah because you're saying it out loud. The air around you remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The table is a witness that you remembered Allah. The floor that you worshipped Allah on is a witness that you worshipped Allah. So if you say it out loud, you have witnesses of your worship. If it's quiet, they don't know. So now you have witnesses. Your tongue is a witness. Your eyes are a witness of what you did. The earth is a witness. On the Day of Judgment, you have witnesses that you worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it has an effect of helping your whole body worship Allah azza wa jalla. So that's that. And the silent zikr is so that to turn these senses off, you have to turn the inner senses on, you have to turn these senses off. So the silent zikr is for that purpose of turning these ones off, so the inner eye can open and that turns on. So they have different benefits. So yeah, this La ilaha illallah one is allowed for that reason.
The second point was that for people who've studied this for the first time, it is actually a great gift. Which leads to my second question. Would it be possible for anybody to give their personal experiences of their muraqabah as well, so people who are just starting it, they can kind of understand how many times a day is it better to do, what's the time period of doing it, and these kind of
mashallah, you can mention that and you can mention it to them individually, but like it's mentioned that there's more than 60 people in this room, so this is an individual thing. Being given this gift is an individual matter, but because there are so many people of different levels, of different busy lifestyles, so you take it and do it according to your schedule, your time that you have. If you have 5 minutes in the day, do 5 minutes. Then there's no excuse. But if you have more time, do more time. If you have 7 hours free at work, do 7 hours. So however much time you have, you do according to that, but try to fix your time and then decide, I'm going to do this much time every day, and then do it. But don't fall into the habit of not doing anything. That's the worst thing. 1 minute is better than no minute at all. So something is better than nothing. There's a big saying, they say that 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And that's this concept. 50% of something is better than 100% nothing. So yeah, mashallah. You can share that with them as well. In this retreat though, maybe not outside in the world, the normal people, they won't understand because they won't have look at all this presentation that is being done to help you understand the background of all this.
Sorry, I think I didn't communicate my question properly. My point was that would it be possible for people like yourself or other people in this classroom to share their experiences with us regarding how much time they're spending, or their experiences of the muraqabah?
So you want our experiences of how? That's fine as well, mashallah. You can, when the other ustads are here, you can ask them as well. 20 minutes is approximately average for the zikr, la ilaha illallah, and the muraqabah maybe 10 minutes. So if that's the time, the amals never are more than, hardly ever are they more than an hour. Hardly ever. I know some people from Morocco, they had amals not from here, from other teachers in Morocco. 6 hours a day they used to spend. 6 hours. Now that is, do they not have mujahada? Of course, they have mujahada, striving 6 hours a day. And can you imagine their family life and other things, how they're being affected? So Allah knows best. So here your amals are hardly ever more than an hour. Hardly ever. So, any other questions on the things that have been given? Yes, Mustafa, and then inshallah last one, and we'll take a break.
So, how do we keep from feeling overwhelmed and giving up? Because I'm already feeling on the verge of that, because not just in terms of actions, but in terms of even concepts. 7 of this, 4 of that, objections, objectives, conditions, preconditions, mountains, rivers, so on and so on. Yeah. My head is kind of spinning.
That's good.
I don't want to give up.
This is a very good question. The answer is you can forget everything except these 5. Forget everything except these 5. So these 5 things, if you show Brother Nural, if you put that, these 5 things, what you have to do is the most important thing to remember, which is why it's mentioned at the end. Everything else that's been mentioned, if you remember it, good and well. If you forget it, no problem. It doesn't matter. The only important thing is, what do you do now? If you do that, you will get the results. I'll give you an example. If you speak to a dietitian that knows, nutritionist that knows everything about food, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and all these things, vitamins, minerals, if you eat the curry, the rice, the chapati, the fruits, vegetables, do you need to know what's in those food, the benefits in them, in order to benefit from them? Or do you just need to eat them? You just need to eat them. You don't need to know what's in them. If you know what's in them, it's an additional benefit. It means that maybe you can help others, maybe you can tweak it up a little bit to make it better. If you don't, just follow the instructions and you'll get the benefit. So similarly, everything else, mountain diagram, other things, if you forget them, it's not a problem. It's okay. But the only thing to remember is these 5 things, and that's why they're given to you on a card and today, so you can't forget them as well. So there's no need to feel overwhelmed. Inshallah, the only thing to remember is tongue, sincerity, spiritual prayer, muraqabah dua, and the la ilaha illallah zikr. The muraqabah dua method is mentioned there, and the levels for those are mentioned there, and that's it. Everything else is a bonus. Everything is a bonus. Inshallah. Is that okay? You'll be doing that today. So today, so that you know the timetable for the rest of the day, inshallah, it might change, but you will be doing muraqabah dua every day, or it may be other muraqabahs, but you'll be doing them every day after Fajr, you'll be doing the spiritual mirage session later today. After Isha, you may be doing one every day. And every time when we do these sessions, the theory will stop, the practical will begin. So today's only our really first day. We've not been here for 24 hours yet. So we've not been here 24 hours. There are people here that have come first time, and it's not fair on them to go straight into the amals without giving them any background knowledge. They'll become more confused. Now they've been given the foundation, now they can practice and practice. And there's only one more thing that you have to be aware of, which is the Miraj journey, which comes after the 4 stages. And even that you can forget. I say that, why can you forget the Miraj journey in all the stations? Why? You tell me. It's not that you don't need it. Sorry? You're doing the practical. It's along those lines. So why can you forget the whole theory? Because when you go on the journey, you'll see it then. So you're only given the theory beforehand to help you, that if you remember it good and well. If I explain to you the path from here to Canada, I don't even know how to do that firstly, but if I explain to you journey from here to London, I always go by train, so I can only explain train. M1, M6 doesn't make sense to me. So go to Manchester Piccadilly from here, but how do I get from here to Bolton train station? Then explain that journey. If I explain that to you, you might forget it. If you explain to me, I might forget. But if I'm holding your hand and going on the journey with you, do I need to remember the journey? No. So I don't need to know how to get to Canada. I'm going to go with Brother Ashfaq. Or Brother Mustafa. We're going to go together. So then we don't need to remember the journey. You're going with someone. They might show you beforehand, just as a courtesy, that this is where we go, do this airport, from there's a 6-hour flight, and so on. That's just courtesy. Otherwise, you'll ask many questions along the way and stop and waste more time. So you don't need to remember the journey. You just need to travel the journey and learn as you go, inshallah. So on that note, inshallah, we finish. And Jazakallah, we'll have a 20-minute break and then be ready to come back here. So Jazakallah.
Just 1 minute. Who would like to see streams and gardens and trees and things? Everybody? Right, so very quickly, get your shoes on. We're all going outside for a walk. Your break is a walking break, inshallah. Yeah? So it'll actually freshen your mind. If you need to take a coat, it's quite warm outside anyway. Well, inshallah, in an orderly manner, everybody will